Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Badger Breakdown. I'm Mike Lucas for UWBadgers.com. I'm joined by the voice of the Badgers, Matt Lepay. If it's true, every team improves the most between games 1 and 2. What areas of improvement would you anticipate this weekend for Wisconsin against Oregon State?
I think the first area, and we talked probably a lot about it in previous updates like this, is defensively trying to have that complete game. Collectively, they played pretty well, the whole body, but 2 or 3 plays, and as Barry Alvarez would say, well, then I guess it wasn't all that good because they gave up the big hits on the 2 wheel routes in particular. So I think that area, probably in the big picture, is the most important. I believe that the offense will continue to get better, but you just like to see a start-to-finish defensive effort that I think a lot of folks believe this group's capable of giving.
There were a couple of potential momentum switches in the first half of that game. If Wisconsin had caught a pass on 3rd and 3 from the 15 on that first series and then scored a touchdown, it would have given the momentum to the Badgers. And then on the subsequent possession, Mike Taylor had the ball in his hands on a would-be interception with nobody in front of him. And who knows, I know it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda deal, but they could have been up 14-0. Kind of changed the whole tempo of that first half in favor of Northern Iowa.
It did, and to take it even a step further in the second half, it's 19-0. Badgers are driving. They have a 3rd down, a very manageable 3rd down situation, didn't convert. It was on the game was on the brink of being dominated by this Wisconsin team, but it wasn't quite able to do it. Certainly you credit Northern Iowa. It had to make some plays. It did. They found a couple things that worked. Their quarterback was pretty poised, yet at the end of it, when the Badgers had to get a stop on 4th and 1, they got it. When they had to run out the clock at the end, they did. So there's obviously things they can improve on, but they held together when they absolutely had to when it was getting late.
Now, we'd seen Danny O'Brien on film when he was at Maryland. What was your impression of O'Brien in action here at Camp Randall?
It was good. He was efficient. You have to think that there were some nerves, and a lot of them. Yes, he came in with 17 career starts, but this was the first start as a Badger. 80,000 people here, a lot of anticipation. Was it perfect? He'd probably be the first to tell you no, but I think all in all, when you look at that 19 out of 23, and of those 4 incompletions, there were a couple drops in there, no turnovers. It seemed like he had a pretty good command of what they were trying to do.
And I thought that both Abbrederis and Pedersen distinguished themselves, and it was no surprise or revelation. We kind of expected that those 2 receivers would become his favorite targets, and they didn't let anybody down.
No, they didn't. The highlight play on offense, really, if you're putting together a top 3 or 4 plays, obviously that the 53-yard connection with O'Brien and Abbrederis, and you're right, Jacob Pedersen on a 3rd and long, very long, was able to reach the sticks and move the chains. But I think, too, getting Jordan Frederick involved, getting him a couple of receptions, getting Kenzel Doe, getting the ball in his hands a few times as they try to develop these young receivers. I thought, again, the statistics aren't going to be eye-popping for either, but they got the ball in their hands, and that's a good start for both of those guys.
Now, I don't want to turn this into a weekly lab where we're dissecting Monte Ball because it's very easy to do, and fans do it all the time. And he is the leading returning vote getter in the Heisman, and there's a whole campaign built around him. But a lot of factors have to be considered before you say he had a really good game or a very average game. I think that sometimes that's lost in translation.
And I do think, bottom line, Mike, he didn't hurt himself. If you're looking at this big picture of Heisman watch,
yeah, that's
this, that,
literally
and the other,
and
right?
figuratively.
Yeah, I don't think he hurt himself with 120 yards. And I was talking with Barry Alvarez, who knows a little bit about this game, and he loves to watch the game from an end zone point of view. That's a lot of coaches like to do that. And he said that he thought Ball did a great job of getting what was there. He got the most out of what he could have. It was a pretty conservative approach. Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, has said as much. And when Northern Iowa was able to sell out on Monte, and he made him work, or they made him work for his yards, no question about it. But I think all in all, given the package that they had for this game, Monte played pretty well.
So tell me, who has the advantage this weekend? Wisconsin's played a game. Oregon State didn't play its opener because it was postponed because of weather. You give the edge to the team that's got something on film, or the team that is still somewhat of a mystery to at least this coaching staff, because you don't know how much better some of that personnel has gotten over the course of a year.
I think whatever situation you're in, you try to make it to your advantage, but I would guess if you asked most coaches Would you rather be in Wisconsin's situation right now or Oregon State's? I think most people would say you'd rather be in Wisconsin's situation. You have a game on tape. You have a chance. Your own guys have gone now through the process of a game day. They can make some corrections. How many times we always say with a coach, no matter how experienced a team, certainly if you're more experienced, there's less mystery. But if you're a young team like Oregon State, there's a lot of guys who are going to be playing for the first time. Now, there are a lot of guys back, but they're probably still wondering a little bit about themselves. Wisconsin has a lot of questions to answer, but at least they have that one game.
And we're not going to sugarcoat it about Oregon State. It's been some bumpy road over the last few years, some potholes. But it's a Pac-12 school, and I think this is the best measuring stick Wisconsin will have before it plays a Big Ten opponent.
A true road game, too, which is something the Badgers did not have last year. There was the road neutral game in Chicago against Northern Illinois, but they're building this up out in Corvallis. They're calling this the biggest non-conference game they've ever had out there. It's the first time a Big Ten team has visited Oregon State since 1971, and there are Sean Mannion, the quarterback, big tall guy, 6'5". Mike Riley likes those big frame quarterbacks. Marcus Wheaton had 73 catches last year. Must be doing something right. And in last year's game, Mike, even though it was one-sided, 35-0, it took a while for Wisconsin to really get into some rhythm offensively, especially running the ball. So we'll see if the Badgers can get off to a faster start in general offensively, but maybe specifically a faster start running.
Maybe it's just the beauty of this time of the year, but there's still so many questions to be answered, and that's okay. That's okay, because we'll all find out together in a short matter of time.
Yeah, it's easy to jump to conclusions after the first round of games, be it Wisconsin or if you look across the college landscape. And generally, when you jump to conclusions, we find out in a few weeks that we were dead wrong early in September anyway. So continue to let this play out. Eager to watch this Wisconsin team, see how it handles being on the road for the first time.
Absolutely. For Matt Lepay, I'm Mike Lucas for UWBadgers.com. Thanks for watching Badger Breakdown.